What is going on, everybody? Hope you all are well. So, as humans, we are always finding ways to make the things that we do easier, especially when it comes to productivity. Years ago, Samsung saw it fit to capitalize on this fact by creating the Note series of devices, but its features have been integrated with their other series of devices like the Tab S series and the Tab FE series, and most recently the Galaxy S series of phones, starting with the S22 Ultra. Now, in all my years of owning a device with an S Pen, I've come across others who also own a device with an S Pen, but don't necessarily know how to use all of its features. So today, I'm here to go over all of the things this extremely useful tool can do and how it can help you be more productive. Now, I know I'm using my Tab S8 Ultra here. However, every single thing that I'm about to go over should be available on any device with an S Pen. So please don't worry about this being the main device I'm using. I will also be using my Fold at one point, or maybe a few other points. We'll see how that goes. But if you have a Galaxy Note series device, a Galaxy Tab S series device with an S Pen, doesn't matter what it is, as long as you have one of these S Pens, follow along, please. You are not shunned. You are definitely welcome here, of course. So with that being said, let's get right into it. First thing you're going to want to do is find out exactly where your S Pen is located on your device, or if it came just with the device on the side like the Tab S3 and I believe the Tab S4, you're going to want to locate that S Pen. So for devices above the Tab S4 like the Tab S6, that pen is going to be located on the backside here on a magnetic strip, and you can just take it off right there. Now, I don't have a actual Note device with me, or even the S22 Ultra anymore, but if you do have that device, it's usually going to come on the bottom left or even the bottom right side of your device, as seen in this snippet from another one of my videos. Next, you're going to want to familiarize yourself with the S Pen you have. And I don't necessarily mean the physical aspects of that S Pen, but more so this button right here. So this button right here is called the S Pen button, and what you'll be using this for is to access a lot of the features on your tablet. And those features can be accessed either by tapping, or touching in that case, touching and letting go, or holding the button down and making some sort of gesture. It really just depends on exactly what you're trying to do. Overall, what I'm trying to drive home is that the S Pen is very similar across the board. Even the S Pen Pro, which has technically two buttons, I don't have that pen anymore, but just familiarize yourself with that button and knowing whether you need to touch that button or press and hold that button. The next thing you're going to want to know is that most S Pens will work on any device that has an S Pen equipped with it, with the exception of the Fold 3 S Pen, because that has a different frequency. Now, in my case, I actually have to take my S Pen that comes with my Tab S8 Ultra off in order to use any other S Pen, but as you can see here, I can go ahead and use that freely, and there is a setting for that, but I will get to that a little bit later. The first thing we're going to start with is your on-screen actions, and by on-screen actions I mean your S Pen tip here is making contact with your tablet's display. So one of the first things you can do with this is what you just saw me do. You can navigate with your S Pen like you would with your finger. Why would you want to do this? Well, this is a much more precisioned tip here. So if you have bigger fingers or something like that, sometimes you'll hit on parts of the screen you don't want to, and the S Pen just makes that much easier to be more precise with. One of the next things you can do is highlight content on a page, but more so specifically what I'm referring to here is text. So if I go ahead and press and hold that pen button on here that I showed you before, press it and continue holding it, and then just take it and drag it across this page here, you'll notice that the text here starts to get highlighted. One of the things it'll also do is give you a few other options up here, and these are the same options you'd get whether you were using your finger or the S Pen here. but this is just a little bit more precision, like I said before. And one of the cool, very basic things you can do with this highlighted text is move it onto another app that supports text entry. So here I have a Word document up, and I can actually go over here, and this time I am not pressing the button on the pen whatsoever. I can just go and press and hold any text on that page that's highlighted and drag it and drop it over here into Word, and voila, it's right there for you. The next thing you can do in your S Pen is write with it, because it's a pen. That would be obvious, right? Now, normally you'd be writing in an app like Samsung Notes, and you just go ahead and draw on everything here. But you can also do that in apps like Microsoft Office, and there may be some other apps out there. These are just really the two main ones I use. And this is a really useful thing, a very, very precision tool. And I know I keep saying precision, but I just want to drive that point home. And you can also erase the things you've drawn by going ahead here and pressing and holding that S Pen button, continue holding it, and it'll go ahead and erase what you just drew. Now, one other on-screen action you can have is you can set it so that if you press and hold your S Pen button and double tap on the screen, it will bring up a notepad for you anytime. So if we just go ahead and press and hold the pen button like I'm doing here and double tap on the screen, it brings up Samsung Notes in sort of the pop-up view. So what if you need to take a note, but your screen is off? Well, Screen Off Memo is a tool that has been with the S Pen series of phones and devices for a very long time. So what Screen Memo does is if you press and hold your S Pen once again, double tap the screen, it brings up sort of this board here where you can just start writing, and that will save directly into Samsung Notes. If you need more room than what it actually offers initially, you can go ahead down here and press this button, which says Next Memo, and continue writing. And this will all just go ahead and save into Samsung Notes. You can even go up here to the top left and change the pen tip size, change to an eraser, or even go ahead and change the color of your ink, which in this case, I don't know why this is not set to red. I'm pretty sure I did set that to red. I like red. This next feature is called S Pen to Text. And what it basically allows you to do is handwrite your search queries within a search bar, if that makes sense. So for instance, we are in the Chrome app right now. And let's say, for instance, instead of typing out the website I want to go to, I can actually just write this out. Now, the way to enable this is you would go ahead and take your S Pen and touch the display where your search bar is, like you would normally do with your finger. So, like so. And what's going to happen is you'll see an indicator on the screen that will let you know that this is now in S Pen to text mode. So if we go ahead and let's say, for instance, we write out google.com, Google, and see right here, it actually spelled out Google, and we can just go ahead and press go and enter it. Now, this is a feature that you probably won't use too much. It's probably going to be a little bit faster to type, but if you're going all in on just using your S Pen, it's something that's nice to have, of course. The last on-screen feature we're going to take a look at is called handwriting. And what handwriting is going to allow you to do is use the Samsung keyboard as a space to handwrite your text out and have it converted anywhere within your tablet. So if I go ahead and bring up the keyboard like I normally would, what I'm looking for here is this icon, the handwriting icon. And if you don't see it among the toolbar options up here, you're going to want to go over to the expand toolbar option here, and you're going to want to look for it among the icons you're going to see here on the screen. There are about 2 pages here. Maybe there's more. I'm not sure. It depends on how much stuff you have enabled, but I think there's 2 pages by default. So let's go ahead and close that, and let's go ahead and enable handwriting. So if I go ahead and touch on that icon, then I can actually just start writing. And as you can see, the keyboard converted itself into a board where I can just go ahead and write. So now if I go ahead and write Google, I should have a lot of space to do so. So no mistakes. And as you can see, and of course there are mistakes right there because I wasn't writing clear, kind of trips me up because once you start writing something, if you don't write it fast enough, it will just input the text into wherever you have the text entered at that point. But let's try this again. So let's go ahead and try something different. Let me write something different. Let's write CNN.com. CNN.com. Okay, so again, it didn't come out, and I write kind of weird, but all in all, if you write better than me, if you're clear in what it is you're trying to do, the handwriting feature is just more of an open space for you to just convert your handwriting to text, and that's really what this is. So this kind of seems a little bit more similar to the S Pen to text feature. However, like I said, this is across the whole tablet. You can really just go ahead and bring up that keyboard anywhere and continue writing, whereas the S Pen to text was just writing right within the search bar. As you can see, I can even enable that too and start writing. So they both work in tandem in a sense. Next, let's move on to off-screen actions. And these are things you can do by either having your S Pen hovering above your display or by having your S Pen farther away from the display, not moving it, pressing and holding the button down here, or still having your S Pen farther away from your screen, holding the pen down while making a particular gesture with it and releasing the button at the end of that gesture. The first thing you can do is use your S Pen like a pointer by hovering above the screen. When this is done right, you'll see a small blue dot that will move along with the way you move your pen. The next thing you can do is utilize a set of actions called Air View. Air View mainly consists of two features, previewing and scrolling. These features are mainly and mostly intended to work with 4 specific Samsung apps. To demonstrate these two features, let me first show you how the preview feature works using the 4 Samsung apps I mentioned. So the first one here is the Samsung Calendar app, and if I go ahead and hover my S Pen above the screen, you'll notice that there's a little pop-up here, and that basically would tell me what information is within the event I'm looking at right now. If I do the same exact thing within the gallery, you'll notice that when I go to this album here, the wallpaper album that I have, it shows me some of the pictures that are in there. I can do the same thing for screenshots, same thing for downloads, and the same thing for screen recordings. All of these albums here, I can just hover over them and preview what's inside of them. If I go into the Samsung email app, I can hover over an email here and it will show me the content that's inside of that email, as well as give me some features I can go over here and tap on just to get directly over to what I want. It's also a really cool feature where if you hover over certain aspects of an app like this menu button here, it will actually let you know what those actions do. So like if you want to know what this magnifying glass does, that's search. If you want to know what the menu button does, that's more options. And you can do that pretty much, I believe, in any app. Don't quote me on that actually, but yeah, you should be able to do that in most apps. If you go into particular apps that have a web page link, for instance, this link I have here in one of my Samsung notes, if I hover over this, it will give me a preview of what's on the other side of that link, or what that link leads to rather. The scroll feature works by hovering your S Pen sort of towards the edge of one of the apps I just showed you. And doing this will allow you to shift through content like you would with your finger. So again, in the calendar app, if I hover my S Pen over here sort of towards the edge, you'll see it turns into an arrow and it just continues to scroll through. If I do this in the gallery and I hover towards the bottom edge of an album, it will scroll through that album. This can also be useful in an app like the Samsung Internet Browser, where, as you can see, if you hover here towards that bottom edge of the page, it just scrolls through the information, and I can do this either way. So if I go right back up top here, it scrolls up. The final off-screen feature is called Air Actions. Air Actions can only be performed with an S Pen that has support for it built in. I've put together a list of devices that currently have support for this feature. So please feel free to pause for a minute and look through this list. Also, if I have forgotten to include one on this list, please let me know in the comments, but these are just what I know of right now. Air actions consist of 3 different kinds of actions. You have your anywhere actions, which can be performed no matter where you are on your device. Your app actions, which are specific to the application you're in, and you have to have support for those. And then you have your general actions, which are really more so just media control. Samsung has also added camera in there, and I'll show you that later, but I'm not sure why they did. It's kind of redundant when the app actions exist. Let's go ahead and take a look at the anywhere actions. And these are gestures that can be customized to bring up things like your recent apps. You can actually customize them to go back to your home screen, or you can even emulate the press of a back button. You can also have it so that if you want to go ahead and just bring up a certain app when you do one of these gestures, you can do that also. I'm going to go ahead and demo 4 of these anywhere actions for you so you get the idea. One thing to remember with air actions is you have to have your pen away from the screen, meaning this small dot that I've been referencing before is not showing up there. So let's take this away from the screen. First one we're going to take a look at is the hold down pen button 2, which is exactly what it sounds like. You're just taking your S Pen away from the screen, holding down the pen button, and whatever you have customized this to do, it will bring that up. In my case, I have it customized to bring up Samsung Notes, the application itself. So these next set of air actions are going to involve you holding the button down on your pen, doing a gesture in the air, and letting go almost immediately at the end of that gesture. So the first one we're going to demo is what I would dub the scribble. So this is just me holding down the pen button, scribbling in the air like this. And as you can see, I have this set up to bring Samsung Notes up once again, but it'll take me directly into being able to write a note. Now, like I said, the key with these gestures is you have to hold it, do your gesture, let it go directly at the end of that gesture. This next one I'm going to do is sort of like a V shape, and I have this set to Smart Select. So let's go ahead and do this. Remember, hold down the pen button, do your gesture, let it go. So, and there we go. Smart Select is activated. Now, I know I said I was going to do 4, but I'm going to give you guys 2 extra. So let's do the back gesture, which is sort of a V facing to the right side, I believe. So hold the pen button, and see, took me 1 step back. And let's do the home gesture. Press and hold, gesture, and now I'm back home. And see, these are pretty simple, pretty handy. It will definitely help you get around your device a lot faster. Now let's go ahead and move on to the app actions. And keep in mind, app actions are not supported in every single app, but a specific group of apps like the ones I have situated here to the right side of the screen for you to see. So we're going to demo this using the Chrome app. And what we're going to do is just a few gestures. So let's do the single tap. I have my single tap set to scroll down, I believe. So this is just me tapping the button on the pen. And as you can see here, it's scrolling right down. If I double tap, that should scroll up. And see, it does that. If I press and hold the button on my S Pen and gesture to the left, it should go back 1 page. There we go. And if I do the same thing in reverse, it actually should go back to the page that was there before. I guess just to give you another example, you can also do things in your gallery app, which is another supported app, like go to the next picture. Sorry, that's the first item. Continue going, and I am just pressing and holding and swiping over to the left. So this is actually a pretty cool thing. You can even use it for something like PowerPoint, and I believe with the camera, you can have it switch the front facing or back facing. You can have it switch to the next mode, so on and so forth. There's a lot of customization, at least within the app actions that are supported within the apps that are supported. I probably said that really weird, but I hope you get what I mean. Now this last one is called General App Actions. It's really used more, or I use it for media actions. So when media is playing, you can actually use your S Pen to control the volume. You can use it to control the next track. You can use it to play and pause, things of that sort. Let's go ahead and demo these anywhere actions using the Samsung music player. So what I've already done here is I've actually started playing some of my own music because I am deathly afraid of copyright. I don't understand it that much yet, getting there. And I have it set to a low volume, but let me show you how this works. So right now it's not playing. Let me turn up the volume first. So press and hold, swipe upwards, and the volume goes up painfully slow. All right, we'll leave it there. And then if I do a single press on this button, it goes ahead and it plays the music that I had queued up. And if I want to go ahead and switch to the next track, all I have to do is press and hold. And see, switches to the next track. And that was a press and hold and swipe right. If I do the same thing in reverse, then it replays the track. If I do it again, it goes back to the next track. So you can see these are pretty intuitive. Also, if I was to press and hold and swipe down, it will turn the volume back down. So these are your general app action. I wanted to show you all something because I forgot to mention this. When I was going over the Air Actions menu, one of the things you'll notice is when you're in an app that's compatible with Air Actions, it will actually say the name of that app right there. And if you tap on the name, when you bring up that Air Command menu, it'll show you all of the specific actions you can go ahead and do within that app. The next set of tools we are going to take a look at is called Air Command. So Air Command has been around since the Note 3 and can be found on any Samsung device equipped with an S Pen. It has since evolved to become a set of 11 convenient tools that allow you to manipulate or even create content. First, I will show you how to bring the Air Command menu up, and this one is pretty simple. All you're doing is hovering your pen right above the screen until you see that small dot once again, like I was showing you before, and you're going to go ahead and press the pen button while you're hovering. And voila, there you go. You have the Air Command menu. Now, at any given point, you can actually only see up to 10 of these items, and there is one more that I will go over that you're not seeing here right now. One of the other things about the Air Command menu here is you can actually see the battery of your pen if you have a pen that supports Air Actions. In the bottom left corner here, you have a settings icon, and that will lead you into the settings of the S Pen to customize this menu here. Let's go ahead and get into what the items on the Air Command menu do. So starting with the first one, which is Create Note, it's exactly as it sounds, and my apologies, I had to turn the dark mode off on my tablet, which is why this here has turned to light now. It does exactly what it says it's going to do, which is it allows you to create a note. So if I go ahead and tap on that, it brings up Samsung Notes in the pop-up style menu like I was showing you before with some of the other ways you can actually do this. Now, one thing I forgot to mention is you can actually go ahead and resize this Samsung Notes window, and what will happen is if you close it, open it back up, it should stay in the size you left it in, which is pretty convenient. Other than that, there's not really much to say about this option. You can just go ahead here and write your note and essentially go ahead and save it. It's really Samsung Notes just in the pop-up menu form. The next tool we have on the Air Command menu is View All Notes, and this one is also as straightforward as it sounds. All it's going to do is open Samsung Notes in full screen, and it'll show you the notes as if you were to go to the Samsung Notes app itself. Again, pretty straightforward, pretty self-explanatory. Next tool we're going to take a look at is what's called Smart Select, and this is actually one of my favorites. This one is going to be pretty long because I'm going to go over everything that Smart Select does. So if we go ahead and select it, take notice of this bar down here once I open Smart Select. What's going to happen is you have a few different options here 5 to be exact. And if you hover over them, they'll actually tell you what they do. Hover over them with your S Pen. So that one is rectangle. This one is lasso. This one is oval. This one is GIF or GIF, however you say it. And this one is pin to screen. Now I'm going to go over all of these, but starting with rectangle. What rectangle does is it allows you to draw a rectangle around the content you want to keep. And it takes a screenshot of that and allows you to save it or manipulate it in a different way. Now I'm going to go over these extended options you get after you go ahead and clip out whatever you want. But first, let's go ahead back to the other ways you can manipulate the screenshot. Moving on to the lasso tool. The lasso tool is just a way for you to actually trace around what it is you want to grab out of a screen if you don't want to grab everything. So if we go ahead and let's say grab this Samsung sign here, and I'm just tracing around, doesn't have to be a perfect circle or anything like that. You know, you can go ahead and just grab out the Samsung logo instead of having to, you know, go through the rectangle and edit and yada, yada, yada. I won't bore you with those details, but you get the idea. The next one is the oval tool, and this one is also as straightforward as rectangle. It's just going to allow you to draw an oval around the content you want to keep. So if I go ahead and do that, you'll see that it took an oval type screenshot here. The next option we have here is animation or GIF in this case. So if I go ahead and tap on that, what you'll see here is a rectangle or sort of a square, depending on how you want to configure this. And you can draw this as big as you want or as big as the screen will go. But in this case, I'm taking a look at some footage I took with my drone. And one of the things you'll notice here is you can move this box around anywhere and you can edit it like I showed you. You can even just cancel it out by going up here. You can set the recording quality of the GIF here by tapping high quality or standard, whatever it says, turn it to standard or high quality. And then if I go ahead and play this video and press record, what's going to happen is it's going to take 15 seconds of this video and turn it into a GIF. So we'll just wait for this to be done. As you can see here, I'm coming down from the trees. Drones are pretty darn cool. I don't know why I didn't get one sooner. And there we go. So as you can see, it made a GIF of that part of the video that I was looking at. Now, you also have some pretty cool editing tools. Once you save this into your gallery, you can speed it up and things of that sort, but we're not here to talk about that. Just gonna let you know that, gonna put it out there. Now, the last option you're gonna have out of everything here is the pin to screen option. And this is pretty cool because what it allows you to do is fine tune once again what you want to select on the screen, but this time instead of actually saving it or doing anything else to it, you can just pin it to the screen by tapping pin to screen. And this is going to stay here as long as I want it to. Even if I go into another application, if I go back to Chrome, if I can see behind here, it's going to stay here. So this is actually pretty convenient for keeping information on the screen. If you have short-term memory like me, this comes in handy a lot. Now, a few things you can actually do with this. So you have 3 more options you can do with this pin to screen screenshot here. You can either close out of it, minimize it, or save it. Now, we all know what saving is going to do, so let me show you minimize. If we minimize it, let's say, for instance, if you took a really big screenshot, but you need to see what's behind it, you can go ahead and do that, and it's going to stay up here for you, and no matter where you go, it'll stay on the screen. And if you tap on it again, it will expand and you can see the content on the screen. So pretty cool. So now let's take a look at the 5 options you get down here on this board after you go ahead and select whatever you want on the screen. I guess there's 6 if you count pin/insert. So starting with the auto select tool, what this is going to do is try to grab content it thinks is important for you automatically. Now, if you notice to cut out the S up here at the top, and over here on the bottom left, you have an add and remove tool. So if I go to add and I select something outside of the screenshot, I believe it should actually add that to the screenshot. And if I go ahead and press done, you'll notice that it did actually add that, and it cut everything else outside of the screenshot out. It removed it. If I go ahead and press remove, it's actually going to remove whatever I trace around here. And this is pretty cool. It's a pretty convenient tool for also fine tuning. I know I said fine tuning like a billion times already, but if I go done, you'll notice it took out that picture. And another cool thing about this is it actually basically makes kind of like a hole behind it. I thought that was a pretty cool detail that they did, that they went with. So, you know, if I'm taking this around, you'll notice here it shows my screenshot right behind it, and that'll be good like if you're making collages, or like if you wanted to kind of make some like fake looking digital ID card. I am not condoning that at all. Get your IDs legally. You didn't hear that from me, but yeah, again, that option is pretty cool, the auto select option, which is what it is. If you happen to add something you didn't want to add by accident, or even remove something, you do have undo and redo right here. So let me show you how that works. If I go ahead and add, let's say this piece right here, and I want to remove that, I can just press undo and it'll take that out. And the same exact thing goes for remove. I can just press undo or redo and it'll trace right back around it. Now, the next tool you have here on the bar is going to be the drawing tool. And this is exactly what it sounds like. It's just going to allow you to draw directly onto whatever it is you selected. And that is pretty straightforward. There is not much to go over with that. One thing to note is when you see this tiny bar down here, you can actually go ahead and tap on these tools here, and they will extend, allowing you to get even finer control. In this case, I can also just go ahead and erase what I did. I can redo it, I can undo it, I can share it, I can save it. Just a lot of customization here. And see, I can even go ahead and zoom in on that screenshot by grabbing the corners of it if I want to, and really just being able to get what I really want. Now the next one here is extract text, and this is going to do exactly what it says also. So if I go here, it'll try to extract the text that it sees on the screen, and as you can see here, it did a pretty okay job. So this is good if you don't want to copy and paste. If you just want text from a particular part of the screen, you can go ahead and do that. You can also copy it and share it here, whichever you want to do. So I'm not really going to go over the next two options because these are pretty self-explanatory also. This is going to be share, and this is going to be save. And sharing, of course, is going to allow you to share it to any app you want to. Saving is going to save it into your gallery. Now, one of the things you'll see up here is the pin/insert tool. So this is similar to the pin tool I showed you before. It's actually exactly the same in a sense. So if I go here and tap on pin, it pins that to the screen. And of course I can go ahead and move it around and everything. I can manipulate it in any way I want. I can minimize it the same way I showed you before. But one of the cool things you can do with it is if you go into Samsung Notes, or even Word, this should work in Word also, or anywhere you can kind of paste the picture. If I go ahead and open this up once again, if I'm moving it around and I stop and I just go ahead and press and hold on it, I can drag whatever I'm seeing here into the Samsung Notes app, or even Word, or like I said, any app that will take a screenshot, or anywhere you can kind of insert a picture. So another cool thing. So the next tool on the list is going to be Bixby Vision. And what this is supposed to do is it allows you to pull out things on the screen similar to Smart Select, but it's supposed to be context aware. So what you can see here is I hover over, and this is going to be hovering, mind you, you're hovering your S Pen, you're not touching the screen. If I hover over this text right here, I can even go ahead and fine tune all of the text I want it to cover for me. Sometimes Bixby Vision is a little finicky to work with because it doesn't really try to notice what's on screen. But once it does, you'll notice you get two options right here. Sort of one that looks like a picture icon and text. So if I do text, what should happen is it analyzes it and pulls out the text, and it brings me directly into this translation app where I can go ahead and let's translate this to Arabic. So as you can see here, it translated that text I hovered over into Arabic, or at least it tried its best to do so. The second option you have with Bixby Vision, and remember, you're hovering over whatever you're seeing on screen so that it can try and pick that out for you, is once you hover over something. So these are a pair of headphones I'm looking into, the Sony XM5s. And if I go to the picture icon here, so what'll happen is it'll try to match what it is I'm seeing on screen. And as you can see here, it actually pulled up the previous model of those headphones, which are the Sony XM4s. This actually did a pretty good job, and it pulled up some Sennheisers. All in all, essentially it's a contextual aware tool. And you can see here, it pulled up some other headphones. It's just trying to basically match what it is you are seeing on screen. One of the less commonly known uses of Bixby Vision is the fact that if you are using it on the screen and pointing your camera at something, it will try to translate that, or I believe it also tries to tell you what it is. So if I go here and I bring up the air command wheel while I'm in my camera, select Bixby Vision, which is down here, you can't see that, but select Bixby Vision. What should happen is it should try to go ahead and translate what's here. And this is in Spanish. This is just some text I grabbed from that Samsung page and translated to Spanish. So if I go and do that, as you can see here, so the text is in Spanish, but let me translate it to English. And there we go. You'll see now that it translated the text that was on paper to English. And this is probably not going to be a perfect translation, but this is actually something that's perfect if you have the time to do it. I am actually going to be traveling pretty soon, and I don't know the language, although I'm trying to learn it so I can be respectful of the people there where I'm going. You know, because I don't want to force anybody to speak the language I speak. That's kind of foolish in my eyes, but yeah, essentially what I can do here is I can see the Spanish text up here and it's translated to English. So this is a really cool feature, because if you go somewhere and you don't understand what a sign says, like when I went to Thailand, I was essentially able to bring up my camera, activate Bixby Vision, hover over whatever I was seeing at the moment, whether this was actually a sign or just any form of text anywhere, and then go ahead and translate that by selecting the T option down there. So yeah, Bixby Vision is pretty cool. It has a lot of use cases. Try it out on a bunch of stuff. Now, this actually doesn't only work with text. It works with items. It should work with animals, and it works with a few different things. So right here, I have my computer mouse, and this is a unbranded mouse that I use. And if I go ahead and select that picture option, I know you can't see it on the screen, and I'm sorry about that. This tablet is abnormally large. If I go ahead and select that picture option, what it's going to do is it's going to take a really long time. But see here, it actually realized that was a computer mouse, and it's showing me other computer mice that would interest me most likely. So yeah, Bixby Vision, pretty darn cool. Pretty cool tool. The next tool on the list is going to be ScreenWrite, and ScreenWrite is literally what it sounds like. It's just going to take a screenshot of whatever you're seeing on screen and allow you to draw and write on that. Nothing really too important. You do get your editing tools down here. You know, you can change your pen tip, pen size, all of that. You can erase. Basically the same tools across the board you'll get when you're doing either Smart Select or even a screenshot in general with your S Pen. You can even fine tune everything here like I showed you before, and that's really ScreenWrite. So next up is Translate, and Translate is exactly what it sounds like. It's sort of an extension of Bixby Vision without all of the hassle of trying to go through, you know, hovering your S Pen at the right point and trying to see what's on screen. So if we go and hit Translate, what I can do here is I can go to one of the words I see here on the screen and give it a second and see it will go ahead and translate that. In this case, I have it set from English to Spanish, but I can also go ahead and reverse that. Now, as a note, if you do go ahead and reverse them up here, like you see in this little toolbar, you will need to be pointing your S Pen at text that actually is in the language you're trying to translate from. Now, the other thing about translate is you can have it set to either one word, which in this case is what I have it set to, or if you go ahead and tap on the toolbar that you see here, which you can move that toolbar around. If I tap on the T over here, it'll switch to a paragraph. So now this should actually translate sections of what I'm seeing here on the screen. See, I can go ahead and scroll that if I wanted to translate more. And this is a little bit tricky because you do have to hover your S Pen above the screen. But if I go ahead and let's go down here and let's have it translate that. So see, translates everything in English. And if I scroll down, there is the Spanish translation. Now, in addition to going ahead and moving this bar around, you can actually minimize it if it's in your way just by pressing that arrow button there and press it again to open it up. And if you want to close it out, just press the X and it will no longer translate. Let's take a look at the next option down here, which is glance. And glance is an interesting one. So in order for glance to work, you're actually going to have to be within an application already. And once you bring up the air command menu and tap on it, it's going to minimize the app you are looking into. And let's say, for instance, I'm in Samsung Notes and I don't want to continuously either switch back and forth between Chrome or multi-window it. So what glance does is it puts this little sort of thing here, this little screenshot of the app. You can move it anywhere or sort of to the four corners of the screen. And if I hover over it with my S Pen, it brings up the Chrome application or any application you minimized when you were using glance. So take the S Pen off, it goes away. Hover over it, comes back. Take it off, goes away, and so on and so forth. So it's exactly what it seems like. You're just glancing at the app for a few seconds, going back to the one you actually want to be in, and just getting the information from that application that you wanted to see within glance. In order to remove the glance option, what you're going to have to do is actually press and hold on the little screenshot here and drag it over to remove. If you don't do that, glance will continuously just come back up over and over again. So it's important to know that. Next option on the list is going to be magnify, and magnify is exactly what it sounds like too. All of these are really just exactly what they sound like. I'm sorry, I keep saying that. If we go to magnify, it actually just allows you to magnify exactly what's on screen by hovering your S Pen over it. It's a magnifying glass. See? Pretty cool. Pretty useful. If you can't read the text, of course, you could always just go ahead and resize, but if you need a magnifying glass, it is there for you. Now, if you notice up here, you can actually change the focal point of the magnification. So I have mine set to 300, but you can set it to 200 or 150 in this case. That's what I selected. If I go to 200, this is what 200 magnification looks like. 250, that's what that looks like, and we already saw 300. Next up is write on calendar. And if we tap on that, this is just going to literally allow you to write on your calendar here. So for instance, I'm going on vacation from the 1st to the 7th. If I type in vacay and yay for the days I'm going on there, you can see I've just written on this here, and this is my actual calendar. And if I save it, I believe it just saves it as a screenshot. Actually, no, I'm sorry. It saves it on the actual calendar itself, which is pretty cool. Don't know why I would use that, but if you can find a way to use that, actually tell me in the comments, please. I'm interested. So this next one is called AR Doodle, and this one is something that you may or may not find yourself using a lot. I don't at all. But what it's meant to do is just kind of give you like a fun time sort of drawing on the screen. There's not really much to it. what happens is you're going to have to go through a setup, and I could not get that setup to actually happen on camera, so I'm just going to go ahead and demo this. What it's going to allow me to do is just draw an augmented reality shape or whatever I want on the screen. I could even do text, I believe, so like I can type in hello, and that should stay done. And as you can see here, it's moving it around. Well, it's staying and having it in focus on the black mat I have here. Overall, you can just go ahead and put things here on the screen. It's kind of hard to explain this one. I don't really know how to explain this one that well. But like, yeah, see? AR doodle. It is pretty much what it is. Like I said, don't know how to explain this one, but it's there. If you go up here, you can also choose the aspect ratio as to how you want things to show up. Last one here is live messages, and this is something that is also a creative tool. Not something you would most likely be using a whole lot, but what this allows you to do is just draw on a background of your choice. Like if you wanted to bring in a picture, you can do that. What this really is just a fun way to send a message to someone. This actually records as a GIF, whatever, however you say it. And I send these sometimes to my wife, although I haven't sent them in a long time. I need to get on that. Let's see, what else am I gonna write here? Yep, is a test. Now, you can't go ahead and write forever, because if you see this meter down here, once this is full, it means that every single thing here is what's going to be here, and you cannot overwrite anything here. This used to be a lot shorter, so I'm surprised. Oh, okay. Samsung actually upped that quite a bit. And what you can do is send this as an MP4 or a GIF or a GIF, whatever, however you want to say that. And as you can see here, it just goes ahead and plays it back. Now, as you can probably tell from AR Doodle and this, I don't use these too much, so I apologize if I am not able to explain these as in depth as I should be able to. So once you're done, you can go ahead and press done. It saves it, and it appears in your gallery as either an MP4 video or a GIF, and you can just send those across to someone. It'll be a nice way to brighten someone's day, pretty much. All right, so now we are at the point where we can go ahead and take a look at the settings for the S Pen. So there are sort of one of two ways to get to this menu. The way I like to do it is to take out my S Pen, bring up the Air Command window, and then go to the settings button down here, and that'll bring you directly there. But if you'd like to go the settings route, all you have to do is go into your settings, then you'll scroll down to advanced features, then S Pen, and that'll bring up the same options within the settings for the S Pen. So let's go ahead and take a look at these. Starting with this top one here, this is where you can configure every single thing that has to do with Air Actions. It's also where you will see the battery for your S Pen, and you can see that in multiple places, but this is going to be the dedicated menu for that. As you can see, my S Pen's at 90%. This is where you can choose the anywhere actions you want to happen when you do your gestures with your pen. In my case, like I said, I have this set to hold down pen button to go to Samsung Notes, but if I tap on this, I can basically go ahead here and, you know, choose whether I wanted to emulate a navigation, an S Pen feature, suggested app, or even any apps among the list of apps I have downloaded on here. And that is the same to be said about the actual gestures down here within the Anywhere Actions menu. So same thing, brings up the same exact menu. Now if I move down here to the App Actions menu, this is actually where you can change how your S Pen works within these specific supported apps. So if I go to the camera, this is exactly what my pen is going to do based on either a single press, a double press, or even a gesture when I'm holding that pen down like I showed you before. So you can go ahead here, and if you tap on any one of these, you can switch out what that does. which in this case, if I go to single press, if I want to switch that to switch camera, I can do that or do nothing. If I go down here to the gestures portion, you have a lot more options, but overall, this is sort of the idea. I can even go up here and actually turn this off if I want to. And let's do another one. So if I go to Samsung Internet, you see these are the options you have here. And if I go to gesture, you know, these are the options I can go ahead and change and so on and so forth. Now, if I go down here to the general app actions, these you can't really change much here. There's not too many options. I'm not even sure why Samsung actually added the camera to the general app actions. You know, if you literally go up here to the app actions that I just showed you, you can pretty much do the same thing. So I'm not sure why. If anybody does, please let me know in the comments, but I think it's kind of redundant. Of course, I can change that to off, which I am going to set to off because I don't think I need it. And here is where you can change your media controls. So with the media controls, you know, you can go here and change exactly what a single press does, a double press does, a gesture does. And this works, I don't know if I said this, but if I did, I'm going to say it again anyway. It works with any app that plays media. So it should work with YouTube. It should work with Spotify. It should work with Samsung Music and so on and so forth. But anyway, this is the app actions menu. And if you even go up here to the menu, or more options in this case, you can reset your S Pen, scan for a new S Pen if you want to add the S Pen Pro, or even learn how to do things within this menu with the S Pen. The next thing we have on this list is S Pen Unlock. So just to go over here and read exactly what this says, it says press the pen button to unlock your tablet if it locks while you're using your S Pen. After you unlock it with your S Pen, your tablet will stay unlocked until your S Pen is disconnected, or attached to your tablet. I never really got much use out of this one because if I'm using the S Pen, it's going to wake the screen up anyway. But again, if you know something I don't, please leave that in the comments because I'm not sure. Next option here is to turn screen memo on or off, pretty much. You have your quick create notes, which if you press and hold the S Pen button and tap on the screen twice, I believe I showed you that before. Next, you have S Pen to text, which will do what I showed you before. You can turn Air View on and off here. The next option you have is to turn off whether you want to see the pointer on screen. So if I turn that off, you will no longer see visual feedback when I'm hovering my S Pen above the screen. If I turn it back on, you'll see that small dot right there. The next option is how you can use multiple S Pens. So in this case, if I was to put this S Pen back into its case, which I'm actually going to enable this, let's show this. So if I turn that on and I go ahead and I put the S Pen back on its bay, which I can see here, it's charging. And let's take this random Note 20 Ultra S Pen I found. So see here, now I can actually go ahead and use this pen on the screen. I can evoke air command. Now, the big thing about this is that it will drain your battery because it is trying to sense another S Pen, including the one you have on the back. So be careful with that. I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. The next option is to change the menu style of air command. So in my case, I have it set to standard, which means that it's going to show me the names of all of these options right here. But if I go and touch this and go to compact, what will happen now is when I bring up air command, it will no longer show me the names of anything here. But if I hover over them, I can still find that out. If I hover over this, I should be able to find out the battery. Okay, no, you can't. It'll just show me that the S Pen is connected via Bluetooth. But yeah, overall, this is more of a space saver, so it doesn't actually go over whatever it is you are trying to look at. But that kind of doesn't matter because if you're bringing up air command menu, then you're going to want to select something here anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and change that back just so I don't forget. If you go to the next option, you have shortcuts, and this is where you can change these shortcuts on the air command menu. So as you can see, you are not stuck to the 10 that you originally get. So if I wanted to go ahead and add one of these apps, all I have to do is remove one of the 10 here, and let's do that. Drag and drop, And there we go. I added the Shop Samsung app. This next one here, I actually have it turned off because I just like being able to see the air command menu whenever I want to bring it up. But if I turn that on, it brings up this floating sort of dot here that I can move across when I have my S Pen detached from the back of it. And this will also bring up air command. All right, so I'm going to completely contradict myself here. It actually does matter whether you have that show air command icon on, because I just noticed this next option here, open air command with pen button. So if you notice right now, I have this off and I'm going ahead and pressing the pen button while I have that little dot here on the screen, and air command is not coming up. So this is meant as an alternative if you want to turn this one off. If I go ahead and turn this back on, you'll notice here now I can go ahead and hover my pen, press the button and bring air command up again. The next option is something I always turn off because I don't want this to do this every time. But if we go into this one here, when S Pen is removed, you can set it so that it opens air command or opens the ability for you to create a note. I have this set to do nothing because when I take my S Pen off, I like to evoke that myself, but you can go ahead and change that here if you'd like.
So I mistakenly skipped over this one while I was recording, but this option, warn if S Pen is left behind, is going to allow you to find your S Pen based on if it has Bluetooth and if you walk away from it with your tablet. So this is one that's pretty important also for not losing your S Pen. Lastly, down here at the bottom, you have the general section, which consists of tips for using your S Pen, the About S Pen section, and the Contact Us. If you go into tips for using your S Pen, you can go ahead and try these features out without actually having them done on your tablet. So if I was to go ahead here and go to translate, it would actually allow me to do a demo of my translate feature here. The same thing with Bixby Vision. If I hover over this and see, these are just demos, live demos. If I go to About S Pen, this is going to show me the MAC address of my S Pen, and I also have the About S Pen features section here, where if I tap on any one of these, I should be able to check for an actual update for that particular feature. So we have air command, translate, see it checks for an update, and so on and so forth. Now, of course, you can also just do that through the Galaxy App Store. But if you are in this settings menu, you could also just do it through there. And finally, the Contact Us section just leads you over to the Samsung Members app. And that's pretty much it for all of those settings there.
All right, so we have gone over a ton of information in this video, and I really hope I didn't forget anything. But I also do hope that this video was helpful to anybody out there. You know, the S Pen is one of those things that I feel is very, very undermarketed and very, very underrepresented, but it is definitely an integral tool in getting things done. So hopefully you learned something. There was a lot of content in this video, and believe me, this was one of the most stressful videos to make. So yeah, I definitely hope you all got something out of it. But wherever you are in the world, of course, have a good morning, have a good afternoon, have a good evening, or have a good night. And thank you for watching this, and thank you for the continued support, and see you in the next video.